This is Greg Troutwine with Maritime Reporter TV. We're here at the International Workboat Show, and we're very pleased to be joined by Philip Bannerman of Radio Holland. And Philip, first and foremost, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Greg.
Philip, why don't you just give us your title and your overall area of responsibility and also your experience with Radio Holland?
Yeah, sure. So thanks, Greg. I'm responsible for the Americas for Radio Holland. I'm the regional director. And what we mean by the Americas, we're present in 6 countries in the Americas: Canada, the US, Panama, Curacao, Trinidad and Brazil. Mm-hmm. And we've got about 110 employees based over here, part of the global organization. I'm relatively new to Radio Holland. I joined in just April this year, but I've been in the maritime industry for around 20 years. I've spent a lot of time, most of that time was with Will Williamson Group, and I was in different positions in different cities, so I know the maritime industry very well.
A lot of our viewers know the Radio Holland name, but for those who might not be in the know, can you just give a brief overview of the company today?
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, Radio Holland's a fairly well-known name within the industry. We've been around for over 100 years, so I guess we're doing something right. Our primary field of expertise is in the maritime navigation and communications field. So we represent multiple OEMs into that field. We do a significant chunk of business in the new build market, but our bread and butter business is the operational fleet, where we'll do service, repairs, upgrades, retrofits of navigation and communications equipment. But there's a lot of companies that do that. So where we stand out, or begin to stand out, is our global network. We're present in around 30 countries. We've got 800 employees. And really that global network really helps us target the deep sea fleet in particular around the world. But I like to think that what Radio Holland's all about is actually selling peace of mind and convenience. And the peace of mind comes around from having access to a very qualified pool of engineers. So there's that feeling of trust that the job's going to get done. And then the convenience really comes around from having a single point of contact to access that pool of engineers. It's knowing that those engineers can service multi-brand equipment, and it's that global network again, where wherever your ships are trading, there's a good chance that there's a Radio Holland technician not far away.
Okay. Well, as you said, you've been in the market for quite a while, and you know more than I that maintaining a global network takes investment. Yeah. So can you just address how Radio Holland is investing? Let's look at the near term, maybe 1 to 3 years, but also just kind of discuss how Radio Holland is evolving in the United States.
Yeah, well, in the United States, we're very fortunate, to backtrack a bit, we're very fortunate enough to have very committed shareholders of the company, and they believe in our strategy and they're willing to invest in our strategy. So an example of that, which is impacting us in the US right now in a very positive way, is that we've just deployed a new ERP system, which partly explains why my hair is very grey and there's bags under my eyes. It's always fun, but we've put this new system in place, and a lot of the reason behind that was, of course, to replace a very old legacy system. But the efficiencies that we're going to get from a modern ERP system allow us to serve our customers better. We can answer them quicker, we can get the paperwork done faster, we can be more accurate. So it was a significant investment, and it's going to have benefits not just to our internal efficiencies, but on towards our customer base, I hope, as well. If you go away from our internal systems, then digitization of the maritime industry is obviously a hot topic at the moment. So we're looking at various solutions for remote monitoring. We actually have a prototype system in place on several vessels in Europe right now, where we'll monitor the NavCom systems in real time, hopefully to predict potential failures before they happen. Okay. But even if we can't get them before they happen, we can respond very quickly to get them repaired as soon as possible. So that's something that, like I said, it's still in the prototype phase. We'll see how that goes. We're also talking to some of our OEM partners also about remote monitoring. So potentially we could go down that path as well. Time will tell.
Can you give us an overview of the markets you serve, with the focus on the 2 or 3 where you see good opportunity today?
Yeah, well, I mean, our global footprint clearly has the biggest benefit towards the deep sea merchant fleet, and that's our core business. But over time, Radio Holland in different locations has become very deep and experienced into certain local markets. So, for example, in the Netherlands, which has a very strong and buoyant riverboat market, we really have a very strong position there. Closer to home at this side of the Atlantic, we are very strong in the cruise industry. We've done a lot of bridge upgrades in recent times for some of the West Coast-based cruise customers. And we anticipate that program carrying on in the coming years as they try and standardize the fleet. We're very strong traditionally all over in the offshore market. I mean, that's been obviously having some tough times, but we're seeing some signs of that picking up just in the last few months. So we're actually quite optimistic about the offshore market. On top of that, we're quite strong over here in the US on governmental type markets, and Canada as well. We're very strong with the Canadian Coast Guard. We're also doing a lot of work for some of the merchant operators who operate government-related ships, people like Crowley. So, they're good markets for us.
So just looking a little more specifically at the oil and gas market, and again, as you know, it's been through a historic downturn. Can you just kind of dive a little deeper as far as the Radio Holland offering to this market, and specifically what you see today as far as the potential and the impending rebound?
For sure. So I actually, until the last few weeks, I've actually been really quite optimistic about the offshore market, and that optimism has actually come from looking at our productivity in some of the key offshore areas. So the Gulf of Mexico for us in Houston and New Orleans has been fantastic. We're seeing a very active market in Trinidad right now, which Trinidad, of course, is being used as a base for a lot of the activity in Guyana. Brazil's been really good for us this year, and if you consider the state of the Brazilian economy in recent years, the fact that we're doing quite well is a strong testament to our team down there. So I've had that level of optimism, and the offshore market needs the same services from us as the merchant market in terms of regular service. But one thing that we do see an opportunity for when the recovery comes is reactivation packages, because these ships, a lot of these vessels have been tied up for a long period of time. First question is the equipment working? Second question is, well, actually the first question is the equipment even there? Because it may have been cannibalized for another vessel. So we'll offer a package where we can send some of our techs on board to do a survey basically and figure out the state of play, and then based on that survey we can come up with an action plan with our customers to get that vessel back into service.
You have a global service network, and that is the strength of your organization. Can you discuss developments in that end of your business to ensure that you have the global network that is required to serve, obviously, a mobile and global customer base?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said earlier on, the deep sea fleet in particular and service is our bread and butter business. So that gets a lot of focus, gets a lot of management attention. And it's just simply good stewardship that we have to be continually looking at our network and determining, are we in the right places? Do we have the right amount of people and the right competence in those places? So that's really an ongoing process. And for example, within our business on this side of the Atlantic, we just in the last few months we've invested in additional technicians in Houston, in New York, and the West Coast. We see the possibility in Brazil for maybe more technicians coming along due to the strength of the market. So we're always looking to make sure that we're correctly positioned in that market. In addition to that, particularly when you've got a global network and carry the costs of a global network, for us it's important to get a good volume through our business. So one of the ways we can do that, get some efficiencies and pass on some of those efficiency gains to our customers, is with service contracts. So we've been quite successful, quite active recently in pushing service contracts to our customers, and the sort of method to that madness is that we're getting the efficiencies that we can gain through volume. We're giving our customers a single point of contact. We can arrange services well in advance, particularly the ones related to annual surveys. And if we can get those efficiencies, we can pass those savings on to customers, and everyone's a winner, hopefully.
Okay. So overall, how would you classify the acceptance of service contracts in this industry today?
I think it's variable. I think people buy quickly into the benefits of signing up for a service contract. Where we see the biggest challenges in this market, as we know, the customers are hurting. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market with the tariffs. Freight rates are low. There's a lot of demand on regulatory compliance, which is costing our owners money. So it's tricky for our owners to make longer term commitments, we're finding. So they like the idea, but just making that commitment is maybe a challenge at the moment. But we're enjoying enough success, so we know there's business out there for that.
Awesome. All right, Philip, again, thank you very much for your time.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. This is Greg Troutwine with Maritime Reporter TV.